everybody. I'm Steve Caranzalidis, web/senior editor for Security Sales Integration. Today with me, I have Evolon CEO Kevin Stadler, and Kevin's here to talk about what Evolon's bringing to ISC West this year. Thanks for taking the time, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I appreciate the fact that you're willing to talk to us and talk a little bit more about what we're doing at ISC.
Great. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what's a leading product or offering your company is showing off at ISC West this year, and what makes it unique or special?
Right. Yeah, we just launched a brand new product. It is named Enterprise 2.0. What is unique about this product is that it is both a combination of hardware and software in a recurring model, meaning we have the ability to roll it out. In essence, you would be paying on a monthly basis, almost equivalent to what you would do for software alone. So it's almost like getting the hardware for free. The hardware that's bundled into this box is quite unique because it has AI processing embedded in it. So we actually, and it's at obviously a very reasonable price point. The solution itself, what makes it quite unique and interesting is you have the ability to do motion or pixel-based detection. So more what I will call traditional analytics on that base, but we're marrying it directly with artificial intelligence classification. Reason why this is key and important is because detection works really well in some scenes, some use cases, and so forth, but not well in others. Meaning, you could have detection and you've got a person, for sake of argument, that is not clearly seen, or you have shadows, or you've got rain, or you've got all these different things, and it'll nuisance alert on you. On the other hand, artificial intelligence classification that we use is really good for certain things, but for instance, it can screen out things like weather effects, et cetera, as it goes through. And it can, but what it's really good at is detecting if there's a human in the scene that makes sense. So just quick object example, long distance, detection makes more sense. Closer up scenes, detection plus classification to actually screen out things like weather effects and so forth, they make more sense. And the last point I'll make about it, which is, the two, typically artificial intelligence classification has to look at the scene and do something called segmentation, nothing more than kind of saying, here's the area that is of interest. And then it uses that area to do the classification to say it's either vehicle, human, et cetera. We marry the two directly up. In other words, it is our detection that tells the classification exactly where to work. And what happens then is it requires less AI processing, which means we can do a lot more with a much cheaper device on the edge because we're attaching those two things together. So that set of products and what we're doing with Enterprise 2.0, I think people would find pretty fascinating if they would take a look at it and see what we have to offer.
Great. Any other products or offerings you'd like to highlight?
I would just say we're pretty much of a unique company from the standpoint that our solutions range from end to end. And what I mean by end to end is we actually have analytics that embed directly in cameras, predominantly access cameras. We have the ones we're talking about that I just mentioned with Enterprise 2.0, which is an appliance. And then last, we actually have in cloud classification and verification that you can send videos to, and we can scrub them and tell you which ones are important and actually have humans and so forth. So full suite we will be talking about, but obviously we'll be emphasizing the Enterprise 2.0 offering.
Awesome. And is there anything else new or noteworthy about the company in general for 2022?
I would say we got a fairly large capital round last year, and we're using it obviously heavily in development. And in addition, this is our hardware. So in other words, we're avoiding a lot of supply chain issues that are out there right now because we're pulling in advance. We're doing 3 to 4 months out to actually have the equipment, so we can turn it around exceptionally quickly, which I know for a lot of people is an issue right now. So that's quite a difference. And again, like I said, the good part about that is since it's ours, we can just do it as a monthly cost, so you don't have to have a high upfront CapEx in order to get into this. So we think that, that's quite unique and different, is to avoid supply chain problems and keep you at a low cost for an integrator.
Definitely. So you touched on it a little bit just then, but what's your company's overall value proposition to security dealers and integrators, and why should they do business with you?
Yeah, so I would say when we focus on a couple of main areas, which is critical infrastructure we're really good at, government, remote video monitoring types of applications. From an integrator's perspective, we're very flexible because we're well funded in terms of making sure that they can get a solution which is installed easily, has a high degree of accuracy, has a lower price point with still good margins for them. We think it's quite a unique offering that an integrator would look at and say, this makes sense over a lot of others. There's always a little bit of angst with integrators on the types of situation we're talking about with recurring, but we have a really good model to where the integrator gets paid for what they sell, even though it might be a longer term revenue pull. So we've got options for them if they wanted to take the revenue over time, or if they'd rather be paid out up front. And we believe some integrators like one model versus the other. So I'd say what's key for us is kind of the combination of better, faster, cheaper in the solution, and flexibility in terms of the offering for them gives them a lot of horsepower in terms of any situation that they've got to say, I've got an answer for you.
Right. So taking a look at the marketplace, what are some of the top opportunities that you're seeing right now?
It's an interesting time. I would say analytics are on everybody's radar. And at the same time, artificial intelligence to actually scrub things out are there. We're seeing a huge uptick in government activity. We're seeing a huge uptick in critical infrastructure, whether it be power generation all the way through to oil industry types of solutions, all the way through to things like airports, et cetera. So we're seeing in general a rise all the way across the board, but critical infrastructure seems to be getting a lot of interest with a lot of people right now. And I guess it's just a sign of the times that the world, unfortunately, is that you worry more about risks from, not just theft, but damage and, let's just say bad actors in the marketplace right now. So I'd say we are seeing some very big upticks in some of those different things. And a lot more in remote video monitoring as well, with organizations that integrators would work with that want to work with both a remote monitoring organization as well as a solution provider so that they can offer both. And I would just point out that we're seeing good uptick in that. IMEX is our premier provider that we work with remote video, and we've got a partnership and a direct integration with them. So that area also we're seeing a lot of movement right now.
Great. Anything else you'd like to add?
Steve, I believe we have covered almost all of what is there. I would say, the only thing I would point out that I think is an interesting discussion that's probably for the show floor is the concept that everybody's kind of looking at artificial intelligence right now and trying to decide whether they want it or not want it and so forth. And by analogy would be, kind of artificial intelligence right about now is like teenagers talking about sex. There's a lot of discussion, not too sure what's actually happening behind closed doors, but a lot of discussion. And I think it's a good topic to understand, how it works, what's good about classification, what's not, because it's not a panacea. I think that is another area that I think makes for a really good discussion on. And I believe we're very objective about understanding the pros and cons of each of the different ways of doing analytics. So I think, it also is the last thing is just to have a good discussion with people at the show. We're always open to.
All right, well said. Well, I know there's a lot of excitement around the show this year, finally getting back to some semblance of normalcy. So good luck this year and looking forward to roaming the show floor.
Sounds good. Look forward to seeing you at the show, Steve. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. You too, Kevin.
All right, bye now.
Bye.